But I also realize that this stuff is really hard. And like, even the most advanced teams are like, I've never seen anything like this before. And something new breaks or there's a new bug, like running TikTok ads is very different than Meta ads, which is very different than Google. Like those are all very different ecosystems.
True.
We were just talking about that with
True.
YouTube, right? Like, and YouTube's technically separate than Google, even though you run the ad channel, you still run ads through there, but it still is its like own essence. Like it's a totally different beast.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Marketing with In-Depth Podcast, where I'm your host, Nathan Webster, and I'm excited to chop it up with you today. Today is just not me. I have my girl from the Big D back, Amanda Farley. What's up?
Thanks for having me back. It's wild to think, all these, we've done quite a few of these now. And
Yeah, we
we
have.
only met that one time in person, but I feel like thank you for hanging out with me digitally. It's been a lot of fun. So excited to talk a little bit about planning for 2026 today. I can't believe we're at the end of the year. It's wild.
It's cray cray, yeah, that we are at the end of 2025. As you know, a lot of people are happy to be done in 2025, but scared for 26 because, man, it was one hell of a ride. I do believe 26 would be a little bit easier just because the whole AI scare of like, oh, Anyways, let me not go on that trail because you got a whole presentation for us.
Yeah. So actually, I just did Pubcon Cyber Week. So this is like somewhat fresh off the press because I did this over Thanksgiving break. And one of the things I like to do with any of my content is like what's happening in the work now. And what I'm seeing for many brands of all sizes is kind of this what I'm calling the layer beneath the SEO or PPC world, so that pay per click or search engine optimization world, like the layer beneath that and that through line.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got some goodies to share. And also, just caveat, I had a lot of fun using the new banana tool on Gemini when I made this. I did not get enough time to clean all of the slides, so some of them have spelling errors on it. So it just is what it is. But it's still good. I gave that caveat in my PubCon presentation too, because I literally it was Thanksgiving weekend and then like the presentation was like Monday. So it was good. It was fine.
And for those that
But
don't
the
know, what
foundations
is
are there.
what's
There's some good
PubCon?
stuff.
What's PubCon? For those that don't know.
PubCon is a industry leading conference circuit. They're one of the original OGs. It started in a pub, which is why it's called PubCon. Usually
Mm,
they're in Vegas and Austin. Really
okay.
focus on the search community. And this year we did a cyber week, so tons of fun. Love the group there. It's great.
Yo, I just want to say too, like, I've been trying to have Amanda record something for a hot minute. This is like our third time, so I'm excited that she's going to share this, and we get something that folks paid a lot of money to go see this in person. So I'm happy you're sharing here with the listeners and folks watching on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely hook up my friend Brett. Go check out his website. He's got some cool articles and things. Since I'm giving you guys a little sneak peek of this for this too. So this really started with me thinking about every like latest phone call I've gotten and a lot of what I've been hearing this year, really over the last 18 months, but it just feels like it's just been this like increasing need is like something's a mess. Amanda and AimClear team, I need your help. And something's not working. And usually they're like, I think the problem's in the bathroom or the kitchen sink. Like they think it's an SEO problem or they think it's a website problem or they think it's an ads problem. And really what they've got is like a larger thing happening like under the surface. And it's because what we're really seeing right now is it's the layer underneath all of the marketing. So we've got a lot of legacy systems that have running and been built for a long time and companies of all sizes. So this is small and big. That have been, it's like you may have set up CallRail or your conversion tracking a long time ago, or you connected your, Meta Pixel like forever ago, and like I don't even know if this is reporting right. But like all of these things, right?
Right.
So, but
Right.
underneath, like before we can even get an ad out or any of those things, it's like we really have to understand like the mechanics underneath. And then, so that's kind of where we're seeing the opportunity. So, one of the big things I would say for any listener today is like, if you haven't taken a look at like what your data layers look like right now, like what are we tracking? Where does it live? Like, that would be one of my number one recommendations for 2026 is like just getting that understanding, because at the end of the day, like we are building marketing now for machines and for humans. So we have to make sure that, the systems are getting the information they need to be able to run properly. And in the old world, which I've always been a big fan of integration. This is just kind of, maybe it's just because I'm one of those weird ones where just like how I got started in this industry, it was like SEO. And then it's like you figure out like, oh, somebody's like form doesn't work, or the sales team's not answering the calls. So like, or the website design isn't good, or whatever the thing was.
Right.
But integrated data is critical in today's ecosystem. So it's
And I
very
love this.
difficult to run a siloed campaign because of how all of these cross signals actually communicate to each other. So essentially, if you're running, let's say Meta or Google ads, like the success of that is going to depend on how well your audience is integrated, how well your conversion is integrated, because
Hmm.
the new discovery journey is not this like simple 1, 2, 3 step system. And I'll talk a little bit more about my pinball machine methodology, but like we've got so many tools, systems, and things that interconnect along the journey now. And it's really because the user
Can you wait, wait,
essentially,
wait, 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 wait? I know this is your
go ahead.
presentation, but if you go back to that image, I mean, though that is a really great image of how. If you guys are not watching this on YouTube, tune into this because this is like what she did in this presence in this slide. The funnel is on fire. It's it's destroyed, and it's so true because there is no linear path to conversion anymore. So I think that's super important. If you can look at this photo, if you haven't got on video, please check this out. All right, so keep going. I
Yeah,
had to say something.
it's so true though. I had a lot of fun making this. And it's because in the new world, it's more like a pinball machine. I mean, it's like if you looked
Mm,
at SEO and PPC
hmm.
as like these little levers, and I would even argue that the technical SEO is kind of like that foundational part of the machine as well, right? Like that goes into that data layer. Um,
Right.
the ecosystem, people are jumping around from social to a GPT tool or AI tool to like it takes a while before they get into a customer's website, and how your brand is interacting across that journey is just such a critical piece, and making sure that we are kind of showing up. So it is a understanding that like data, AI, and bots really are the foundation of the interconnected system, because these little bots, it's not just the AI tools. Like I think that's one of the most common misconceptions. Like people hear AI and they're like, "Oh, is that like ChatGPT?" And they're like missing the point that like the machine learning agents really, so when you hear you'll talk about AI agents and all of those things, they're also making decisions in between those systems, tools, and processes, right? And like the algorithms of like what ad do you get showed, what comes up in your feed, like all
Yeah.
of that is being decided by machines essentially. And we know that at the other side of it, like there's going to be a human along that journey, but like if you don't have those intertwining components together, it's going to be really, really tough.
Mm.
So I built this as I always tell everyone, Leah's my SEO unicorn. She's like the peanut butter to my jelly on the PPC side on the Aim Clear team.
Okay,
So
I
I
was
mean,
wondering.
so I
There's
made this
another
slide
person
thinking about
here.
her, but it's like you have to, a full integration system. Like some of the meetings we're having right now internally, like, so I'm meeting with her and I'm saying, what does the SEO team need from paid? Like where are
Mm,
those areas
hmm.
that you guys haven't gotten to? Or because what we also find, in the brand world is like, well, we can't talk about that because of compliance, or we can't do this because of that, or we can't get to this because this is 80 layers down on the to-do list, or whatever the thing is. So like I ask those questions because I realize that the more integrated we understand how that ecosystem is connected and working together, like the better results we're going to get. So it really does come down to like that clean data and AI infrastructure. I would also say the challenge that I think every brand is faced with right now, no matter the size, is ownership of this seat. Who owns the
Mm,
data learning layer at each org? And I would,
mm.
like,
Interesting.
because it crosses into like some team might own the website, some team might own email, but like whose job is it to make sure like how all of those are syncing, running together? And if it's a smaller business, you're not going to necessarily have like a role for
Mm,
that, right? You might have somebody who helps with like analyst work, or you might have, but still they're usually just kind of doing BI outputs and that, data piping. They don't necessarily own that whole ecosystem. We're like, I don't know, the HubSpot team told me to do this, or whatever. So I think assigning some level of accountability or collaboration in that arena is going to be really important. Which goes back into like my oh, I'm just making sure you come back there. All right, there you are. The first step I always do after a client calls, and it's like the first step so the first thing I ever look at when there's a problem is the data. I'm like, okay, what do we got? Like, what's under the hood? Like, what's going on under the hood? And there's also never too often to check this. Like, we've been seeing like pixels tracking, all that stuff break at like such a level, like so much more often than like ever before. So even if you thought it was working before, like it doesn't necessarily mean it still is. So like even having like some sort of like maintenance routine, I think is important as we move into 2026. So like I would have somebody on your team like, hey, let's make sure that we're double checking that all of our tracking is working, all of our audience signals are working, like at least a couple times a month. Because what we're finding is like even with so one of the calls that I recently got, and it was an e-commerce brand friend of mine called, like, hey, I've got this thing. I think this, it looks like it's like double reporting, but the whole model is built on revenue. And like, she's like, can you just look at it? And like then we uncover like all these other things, like call rails broke, like the pixels on call rail are broken, and their customer data platform, like just all these things. So it doesn't matter even if you have the most simple view of this, still check it. Make sure everything is like what it still should be for like your 2026, like setting the stage. Um, and then, because when you have a system failure, which, by the way, I had a lot of fun turning my team into cartoons for this presentation. I love my team, by the way. So this is Tim Halloran. But calling the flag of like, hey guys, like their pixels are down on every channel. Like we had an issue where like we saw
mm.
pixels down on every channel. And so if pixels go down, your ad performance is going to go down. Like you're basically driving blind. Every minute that you've got pixels down, you're driving partially blind because we're feeding bad data into the system. So
Right.
it's like it
Oh,
just becomes a
so
really
true.
catastrophic issue like if
That's a good
if it
point.
goes for like a long period of time. Which gets me into like it broke. And then on the audience side, so much of the success, like when I look at these channels and systems now, is like, what is our first party signals that we're putting into the system to begin with? Not necessarily as like we want to target exactly this all the time, but even just as that machine learning layer and creating this in a way that's like, these are what our ideal customer looks like, or maybe
Okay.
this is like what a suppression list we'd want it to like a suppression list to look like. But that audience signal health is critical. And what I've
Mm,
seen over the years is, teams that have uploaded like Zoom info lists that are like, who knows where those came from over the years, and all kinds of stuff, right? Like you find in these systems. And so it's like they're using all of this data to then determine how your ads are going to perform. So, but when it's done right, like this is where the money's at, like 100%. This is the difference between winning and
and
losing,
for
I think,
and
in
for those that
today's
don't
world.
see,
Because it really just comes down to targeting, and even with Google, like which is continuing to go more of a less of a keyword model, right? It's an audience signal model. Like that
y'all
is
missing
how
these
they're
good
doing it.
slides.
So as much as we, especially us OGs in the space, we hate that because it continues to like take away more and more control. It's like even more important that setting the stage. Like I think we're going to see more of this rolling out and pushed out even on the Google side as we roll into 2026.
Okay.
And then, the other piece that I think is forgotten as well is like each of these systems also has AI on top of it or in the through line. So, like, even within, like, Salesforce has AI over it, right? Klaviyo's got AI, like all of these tools. So we've got, if you've got bad data, like then that's feeding into more, like, which is like machine learning in your internal systems, then that's then feeding into channel systems. So like data hygiene, that's my TED talk for going into 2026. And and I hate to say this because I know there's like some amazing creative teams and like we spend all this time and resources on creative if we've got it, but if you don't have the infrastructure right, the ad doesn't show to the right people to begin with, so that you'll get kind of bad, even like you'll think a creative element is not doing well when really it's just like the audience signal isn't set up right. And it's got nothing to do with how awesome or, on point the creative is. So if nothing else, like as a creative team, if you feel really like positive about the creative, like challenge the data. I know it's a little probably ruffle some siloed feathers on that one, but I feel like challenge the data, like how do we know that this is not working well or it is working well? Because at the end of the day, like if we're not showing this ad to the right audience, like, and it's
Oh
coming up in
man.
somebody's feed that's not relevant, like of course the
Yeah.
performance is going to be not great.
Well, it's not.
So yeah, it just really kind of goes into that like really intercepted journey. So I did like a really linear view on this one just to like try to show more simple of like your ad is then going to go to an agent, then you have your creative that shows to a human, which then hopefully becomes a customer, right? But then also knowing that we're going to have
Facts.
like agent to agent or AI research. So it's just like really understanding how that like is injected at every stage of the journey now. It's wild. So here's it's kind of wild image I did here, Nathan. You might appreciate this one. But yeah, just to show like how much it's a part of it. So yeah, so back to the guy with the leaky faucet, like it's like the real fix comes into that, like, do we have our server side API set up properly? Do we have.
For those that don't know, there was a tech issue. Now we're trying to get back up. But I was trying to talk to you to say some of those slides were very. I don't know if you're gonna post them anywhere. Just some of those slides that show that truly our industry is on fire, and it's not the old way of doing things. If you don't have the right data, your slides really gave a visual image of the way data was aggregated, like obtained. It could be wrong data, and now you're paying for bad. That was the best visual image, and that's like 2025.
And the thing I always tell my clients too is like, it's okay. Like everyone is exactly where you're at right now, right? Like even the most advanced teams are having to upgrade systems, right? So even if you're more like they're upgrading, they're transforming systems because of something else changing in the business. I'm seeing a lot of teams where it was just, enterprise tech. It's just legacy tech that was built over time. And that's really common where it's like, it's not that your paid team did anything bad or wrong or the SEO team did anything bad or wrong. It's like this stuff has just changed. So it's like to have that like full just data map sweep, make sure everything's like clean, connected. We want to make sure everything's like running well for 2026. And yeah, those projects look different for everyone. I mean, we audited a GA4 account just like last week because we were trying to troubleshoot some conversion data, and there was like 300 tags or something that weren't even connected to any events. And then we're like, what is all this? So it's like, and it's because somebody somewhere along the journey was like, can we track this? Right? Think about how many times people are like, oh, maybe I could track or see this. Well, that stuff like adds up over time, and then it like clutters into the ecosystem. So it's like just kind of think of it like like you would for like your cleanup after the holidays, and you like do a deep clean, and you got to like just get ready for the new year and all that stuff. Like just do that through your data, and I think it'll be okay.
That's crazy. Yeah, you really do. Oh man, all I can think about is all those things that people thought was working, and they were like, "Man, I'm crushing it," and now it's like, "How come it's not working?"
Yeah, and
Like,
it does for a while, right? It does for a while sometimes, like, and it's not always like really easily, like, it's not always as simple as it's broke, right? It could be like, I was like, the data the system is feeding, or what that conversion tag is then feeding back, and that machine learning is updating, right? And all that stuff is updating all the time. So it's like, wait, when's the last time I've actually checked the quality of this list? And is this the best way to set this up now, or is there a better way to do it? when's the last time I double checked how this conversion tracking tagging is firing? Is this actually what I want to be telling the system I care about? Because there's a lot of times too with that like volume versus control game. It's like we have to look at, okay, we know that our primary thing is we want is like revenue, right, or a lead or whatever. But like sometimes just to get the volume, to get out the thresholds of machine learning, we have to set something else up. It's got to be a step above that. Like it's got to be people that watch a certain level of the video and then they take another step on the website so we know they're more engaged. Then there's like so all of those signals kind of help with the machine learning component. So it's like you have your primary thing you want to drive as your end result, but how you're actually training the machine to optimize for the right people, like you kind of have to like segment those things out of your mind a little bit.
I was about to say that segmentation. I think that's where the whole spray and pray, where it has been somewhat effective for people. I'm like, now it's not gonna work. It just ain't gonna work.
Well, and that's where you kind of see things just kind of stalemate, or it was running, now it's not running. We don't really know why it's not running, and it's because it was like, well, it worked for a while, but like at some point these systems are just updating so fast. It's like, so yeah, really re-looking at that. And then also on like Google's side of the house, like they constantly are changing where they're moving weird settings, like, which I feel like that's like the tale as old as time in the Google world, but like that's not like that hasn't changed. Like I went in there doing an audit last week, and I was like, dang, they just moved this from like a week ago. Like there was like something else I was like moved. So it's like you have to double check at every layer. Like what are in my settings? Is there any weird enhancement on that maybe I do or don't want on? What are my I even think of those like some of those automated rules, right? Like what are the automated rules I'm running on the account? So like AI Max right now is set up as like a default in new ad campaign builds. So if you're setting up a new campaign, which is basically like running demand, it's like demand gen
You
essentially.
talking about Performance Max in Google Ads?
Like even if you're running like a
PMax?
search campaign, it's going to
Um,
auto trigger on AI Max, which AI Max is essentially demand gen on steroids, really. And you don't necessarily need AI Max on to show up in AI overviews either. So like it's not saying don't run it. It's just saying like know that you're actually opting into like all these other networks and things that
oh, okay.
you
Because
know.
that's not a
But it's
bad thing.
yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is something you want to like know before you launch
What's
because
the dark side to that then?
if you want to run a more traditional search campaign for bottom of the funnel keywords because you already know they're at that level, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's a comparison term or whatever, like you don't necessarily want to be running on like display network settings, in like these other areas,
Oh, I got you.
right? Because it opens it up for that stuff. So again, it's not a don't do it. It's just like know where that fits in the mix, and like there's just so many weird nuances with the settings,
Mm.
and even their exclusions. Like I was just talking with my senior ad ops, Amber, who's great. She's been doing this stuff for years, and she was like, "Did you know they set up limits now for like how many locations you can exclude?" And I was like,
Hmm.
dang it. We've been using that one forever where it's like we just exclude everything we don't want to target. So like now there's like 100 and something limit or something like that on it, she said. I don't know.
Well, before it does this again, let me say that was fire. Amanda, for people that want to get to chat with you about some of these details, especially as we talk about the bottom of the funnel and the conversion, getting the data right, where can they find you? How can they contact you?
So LinkedIn is a great place. And then also you can always email me, amanda@aimclear.com. And yeah, I'm typically around, but yeah, LinkedIn's a great spot.
Awesome, man. This was fire. I love how you put some visual images to all the issues that we as an industry is having this year. So, predictions for next year then.
Next year, I think
2026. What you got? What you got?
I think data is going to continue. I think we're in the beginning waves of what's going on with the data part of this right now. I think this is still a newer part of the waves. Just because like I kind of saw this coming like a little farther out, and then it started like which is usually how it goes. I've been doing this long enough now, so I think that's going to continue to be a theme. I think we should expect more change on the channel side. I think we we should expect more rapid change on Google's side. Like, I don't think that's going anywhere else. I think really, focusing in on like, obviously there's like the economic piece. I think some of that stuff hopefully is going to shake out for everyone. But I think on the systems and channel side and all that stuff, like, I think we're still going to be in the midst of change, but hopefully we're also at that part of change where we're kind of through the, where we're seeing big dips on something not performing and it's on that upswing. So, and overall, obviously, like I have somewhat of a biased opinion because I live in the aim clear happy bubble where it's like I don't know, like even when everything goes wrong, we're still winning. It's good. It's fine. Like,
It's not a bad spot
and
to
I only
be.
say that because like we just work so well together and our team is like really senior and seasoned, and but I also realize that this stuff is really hard, and like even the most advanced teams are like, I've never seen anything like this before, and something new breaks or there's a new bug at, like running TikTok ads is very different than Meta ads, which is very different than Google. Like those are all very different ecosystems.
True.
We were just talking about that with YouTube, right? Like, and YouTube's technically separate than Google, even though you run the ad channel, you still run ads through there, but it still is its like own essence. It's like it's a totally different beast.
Completely
So
different.
I think having that like subject matter expertise support is going to be critical for internal teams just to make sure they're rowing in the right direction. I think more training. Like everyone's going to just continue to need more. We're just in it together, teaching each other as it changes. So, no playbooks, no playbooks at this stage of the game.
No,
All
so
constant change.
2026, no playbooks.
No playbooks. No.
Hey,
I
so
think authenticity.
it's gonna
I'll
be
leave that teaser.
well, yeah, because you can't fake it no more. There are no more fake it till you make it anymore. Yeah,
Nope.
yeah, there is no more wolves in sheep's clothing. You're gonna be able to find the person because I at the same time, like what you're saying, authenticity matters, relationships matter. If you don't got a good relationship, obviously there's gonna be something wrong, not get the good results. So, woo, fire. So when you come back in 2026, you're gonna have some more probably discoveries for us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. So until next
Thanks.
time, if you haven't already, y'all, gone, checked her out. Her information is down below. Any chance, Amanda, you got a recording of the full presentation?
I think you'd have to go to Pubcon for that. So
Okay.
I'll just give a shout out to my friends over at Pubcon to check them out. I think they do have like where you can actually get the full thing.
You might have to pay for
And
it, but PubCon.
yeah, yeah. But I think it's pretty reasonable. I can't remember what the number was, but Brett and the team are great. And there's also a lot of really great speakers too that he's just got on that list. So highly recommended.
Okay. All right, y'all.
Awesome.
Until next time, thank you, Amanda.